I'm Mrs. Ratcliffe here, and today we're talking about adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, so there's a step-by-step procedure you can follow to add and subtract fractions, and I'm just going to talk you through it. First thing you need to do is get a common denominator. Remember, denominators are bottom number. So in this example here, it's already in common. They're already the same bottom number. So that makes it pretty easy. Now, step 2, you're going to add and subtract the numerators only. Now remember, the numerator is the top number. So for this problem we've got here, we're going to have 6 ninths. As you can see, the 9 remains the same on the bottom, and we're just adding the numerator, just the top number. Okay? And then when you're finished with that, you can simplify. So you can see here that we've got 2/3 once we divide both the top and bottom number by 3. So I'm going to show you a couple more examples. Here, 4/5 minus 2/5. And we look, oh look, we've already got a common denominator. Too easy. So now you're just taking 2 from 4, just subtracting the top number, the numerator, and you have 2/5. Pretty straightforward. In the second example, the same thing we look. We've already got a common denominator. The number is the same on the bottom. So we're going to add the 2 and the 1. So that gives us 3/3, which is another way of saying 1. Easy peasy. Okay. So a common denominator is when the two fractions have the same bottom number, but they don't always have the same bottom number. Okay, if they don't, the easiest thing to do then is to find either a number that they can both be multiplied by, like a common factor, or if that's not very easy, you can just multiply the two bottom numbers by each other. But be careful. This is really important. Don't forget to multiply the numerators by the same number. Otherwise, you change the value of the fraction. So remember in my last example, if we had 2/3 and we wanted the bottom number to change to a 6, we need to change the top number to a 4, and that thereby multiplying both the top and the bottom number by 2. I'll show you some examples. Okay, so let's look at this first example. We've got 1/2 and 3/4. Now it's pretty easy, this one, because we don't have to make the bottom number 8, because it's pretty easy to turn 1/2 into a fraction with a 4 on the bottom. So a 4 could be a good common denominator. So let's see, if we turn 1/2 into a 4 on the bottom, if we've got 1/2 here, and we want the 4 to be on the bottom, what have we done to it? Well, we've multiplied it by 2, haven't we? So we have to make sure that we multiply the top number by 2 as well. So that gives us 2/4. Now, when we look at 3/4 plus 2/4, it's pretty easy. You have 5/4, or you can say 1 and 1/4. Okay? So that's one example. Let's look at this other example here. You've got 2/9 and 4/5. It's not as easy as our first example because there's not necessarily an obvious factor you can go to with 9 and 5. Well, if in doubt, you can always just multiply these two bottom numbers by each other. But be careful, this is this thing I was cautioning you about before. You want to say 2/9. If you're going to multiply 9 by 5, you need to do the same with the top number. So that would give you 10/45. And let's do the same with our other number here. We've got 4/5. We need to multiply that by 9 to get a 45 on the bottom. So we'll multiply the top number by 9, which will give us 36/45. Now we're going to add ours together. 36/45 plus 10/45 equals 46/45. There you go. And that's how you add and subtract fractions. It's really that simple. And if you're a little bit confused about simplifying fractions or finding equivalent fractions, don't forget, you can always go back to the other lecture which talks about equivalent fractions. Okay, good luck with that.